Welcome to the channel, and we are so grateful that you all have joined us today. It is Monday afternoon. It rolls around really quickly. I'm here with my friends and my colleagues, Dr. Jessica Rimmer and Miss Maria Guy. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Doing well. Good to see you, Tracy and Jessica.
Oh, well, thanks. And for those of you watching on LinkedIn, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Those of you on Facebook, same. And then some of you are joining us on the Giant platform. So if you are listening and you do not have a free account with Giant, we really want to welcome you to do that. You can sign up going to giant.tv. Now, if you know one of these ladies, put a slash on the end of giant.tv and then use their name, Maria Guy or Jessica Rimmer or Amy Norton could not be with us today. She's with a client, but if you know Amy, just slash Amy Norton, and that way that connects you with one of these experts here at Giant. That way, if you need help, if you need coaching with your team or individually, these are the ladies for you to reach out to. So, Maria, I know last time we had a little third gear time. So for those of you listening, if you don't know what third gear time is, that's that kind of ramping up. We want to get into some sort of a social mode, which all of us on this call are very task oriented. So this is really good for us. So Maria, do you have any fun little third gear topic you can pull out for us?
Well, I was thinking about the topic last time we were talking about gratitude, and it made me think, what are you encouraged about today? Because there's so much to be discouraged about if we dwell, but what are you encouraged about today? And I would love to see some thoughts in the comment box. If someone wants to list some of the things that you're encouraged by. And I think because I've been doing so many Zoom meetings and people have, I was talking to someone and their daughter came in and he sat her on his lap and we just finished up our conversation. Someone else had to pause to take care of homework duties. And I'm encouraged that the stigma of those things happening is going away. It's not unprofessional. I didn't see it as unprofessional. I just thought, how cool. Your daughter came in and she said hello to me. And so some of these things that normally were seen as, oh my gosh, you cannot let that happen. I think we're all feeling like we're doing what we can to stay connected and keep working. And so I'm encouraged that some of those stigmas of unprofessionalism are going away because everyone is trying to get their job done. So I'm encouraged by that on the side of, business side. But Jessica, I would love to hear, whether personal or professional, what are you encouraged about right now?
Mine's personal. So I think my big fear is like I'll somehow be a liberator other places besides my home. And I'm really encouraged because my kids, as they're making their Christmas lists and thinking about, Mommy, what do I want you to get me? They're thinking about others. And this morning, my daughter was talking to me. We had talked about doing an angel tree or a Christmas shoebox sort of project. And she was wanting to write down the things for another person. And I was just really encouraged by her thoughtfulness that was the first thing she thought about this morning was somebody else, which is a big deal. She's only 5.
That's really cool. Very good. Tracy, how about you?
Oh, wow. There's so much to be thankful for. I'm going to go personal. I had a great weekend. 3 grown sons now. And so getting them all in the same room at the same time is super rare. And I got that this weekend and we just had a really nice time together. And so that was just encouraging. So,
yes.
So all of you mamas with little ones, there'll come a day when they won't be all around you, but there's a lot of beauty in watching your kids grow up and have their own lives and control society, and so it's good.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for those who are making comments. Please put it in the comment box. Let us know what is encouraging you right now. You may have to take some time to think about it because things have been very discouraging, all over with everything that's happened this year, but it's good to pause and to think about those things that are going well. Tracy.
Right. Yeah. So you guys, if you joined us last week, we had a great discussion on gratitude. And was it you, Jessica, who gave a little challenge and had us reach out to someone who had great influence on you? And so I hope that you all were able to do that. I know it's been a while ago, but I had someone challenge me on this a while ago, and it was the first person who popped up in my mind was Miss Mott. She was actually my fourth grade teacher. And she had so much impact on me that I picked up the phone and I found her and called her. Well, she had gotten married to one of the students that was in my class. He was actually a special needs. Sorry, I said that wrong. She did not marry someone in my class. She married the father. Sorry about that. The father of someone in my class, a special needs kid. And his dad was a single dad, and she married him, and they have had a wonderful life together. She's now a retired teacher. But I picked up the phone and just told her I didn't even know that she'd remember. She said she did. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I just remember how much at such a young age, actually, the way that she treated that student with such care. And anyway, she got a lot of delight out of that, and I certainly got a lot of delight out of that as well. So did either of you do that, or had you already been reaching out to people?
I had reached out to a couple of people. I had a boss for 17 years, and I reached out and I sent a note to him just to let him know what an impact he has had and continues to have in my life, all the good lessons that I learned. I was in my mid-20s when I went to work for him, so I kind of feel like I grew up under him, and he had a big influence, and so I just made sure I sent a note and let him know.
That's great.
Well, you guys are better than me. I feel like I was the recipient of this. Someone reached out to me and said, thank you. That was so nice. But I had a great conversation with my mentor, who I'll talk about today, but he and I had a really good conversation on Friday, and I don't think I was intentional enough in this. I'm feeling like, man, I wish I had taken that chance. So,
well, you still can. That's same with all of you out there. So if you haven't done it yet, it's not like there was a time limit. So go ahead and reach out to that person. It's just so important that we tell people what they mean to us instead of waiting for their funeral, right?
Right.
So do it now. Do it now. Mm-hmm. So our time is going fast. Jessica, will you kind of set up the conversation for what we're going to discuss today?
Absolutely. So we are going to talk about mentorship, sponsorship, and apprenticeship. So that's kind of our big picture topic. And the reason that we're talking about this at, Welcome to the Table live stream is because it's so critical for women to have mentors, sponsors, and apprentices. But sometimes we count ourselves out of the game. We don't often do that as intentionally as we should. So I thought maybe I would set up the conversation by defining those three terms, and then we can jump into it that way. So a mentorship or a mentor is someone who is an experienced person. They act as a trusted advisor. They help someone reach their full potential. And we can think about mentorship professionally. We can also think about it in other realms, right? We can think about other people who have been role models to us, mentors to us in our parenting, in our spiritual lives, things like that. A sponsor is someone who is an advocate for us. They use their power and their position to make opportunity for us, oftentimes believing in us, going out on a limb for us, putting their credibility in places where we don't have any. And then lastly, an apprenticeship or an apprenticeship relationship is really about intentional transfer of skills, knowledge, and expertise. It's the deepest level of multiplication because it has a deep time commitment attached to it, and it has a personal life component. When we're apprenticing someone, we're actually giving them access to our personal lives. And I love what Jeremy and Steve always say, that we probably will truly apprentice 1 to 2 people in our lifetime if we're being intentional. And I think the thing about mentorship is we could be a mentor to someone even if we don't recognize that we're their mentor. We probably have all looked at someone and said, I'm following that person. We could sponsor someone without maybe them recognizing that we are their sponsor. So in a mentorship relationship, we may be someone's mentor and they don't, and we don't know it. In a sponsorship relationship, we may be using our power and position to make pathways for people and they don't know it. But in an apprenticeship relationship, both parties have to know. Both parties have to recognize, I'm apprenticing you, and the apprentice has to say, yes, I want to be your protege. I want to gain from you this deep level of knowledge, skills, expertise, wisdom. And so those are the three kind of components that I would say are really important for us to talk about, both as we consider, who has been that for me, and then as we are leading, who am I mentoring, who am I sponsoring, and who am I apprenticing? Ray, what do you say about that?
I like how, as you describe each of those, there's a different level of intentionality, right? As you move up into that apprenticeship level, which I think requires an invitation. The person has to know they're being apprenticed, right? There's no such thing as a secret apprentice, and they're not aware that this is happening. And I thought of an example of a colleague and a friend who was doing really well in the organization, had moved up, but no one approached her. There was no plan. She didn't know where she fit in, and eventually concluded, there's no pathway for me here. No one is sponsoring me. No one's mentoring me. Certainly no one is apprenticing. So she went to look for another job, which did not take a long time because there were several people just waiting. As soon as you're not happy anymore, we'd like to know. And so when she went to her boss to say, I don't see a path for me here, she was told, I wish you had said something. We saw you as the next senior vice president. We were thinking you were going to be. And she's like, you never said anything. And I mean, what a loss when we don't share with someone, right? When you see something and say, I would like you to take you under my wing. I would love to show you this. I think you have potential for that. Those words of encouragement can be in that mentoring space. But if you do have influence and opportunity to take someone with you to meetings, to business trips, whatever that looks like, and sponsor them and take advantage of that opportunity. And if you can, invite someone into an apprenticeship relationship, not just in the workplace, it could be with your children. It could be, as you alluded, Jessica, sometimes, someone who's been married 5 years knows a lot more than someone who just got married. So you might be, a mentor in that sense, in a marriage, as in motherhood and in the workplace. So many different opportunities that we often overlook for several reasons, because we think, I'm not sure I'm ready. I'm not sure I have the time. I'm not sure I have anything to pass on. But I assure you, we all do. We all have something that we could share.
Absolutely. I agree. I was just thinking of those of you who are mamas at home with babies on your hips and toddlers running around. If you're a step ahead of someone else, you can participate. So you may know a few things that a brand new mama with a brand new baby doesn't know. And so you can be that for her, and it gives you purpose. It's a win-win all the way around. So, and I was also thinking about Jeremy Kubicek and the impact he's had on each of our lives, and the way that he invites us in to watch him with clients, or the way that he liberates folks. And that's been huge for me. I know it has for both of you too, as well.
I think I've been reluctant over the course of my career to ask for help. Either I think early on it was pride that kept me from asking. I should figure this out my own. No one's going to tell me how to do it. I'll sort it out. And then as I got older, I just thought, I'm not sure they want to. I'm not sure they have time. I'm sure I am imposing on them. And then something happened at some point where I just thought, enough of those things. There's things I don't know. And now I very freely reach out and ask someone, especially now that I know myself better, my own personality, what I bring to the table, the strengths, and I'm able to reach out to people and ask for that help. I don't know what took me so long, to figure it out. It just does. Regardless of how old you are, don't waste time thinking you have to figure things out by yourself. I've never been rejected from no one has ever said, don't ask me. I'm not going to help you. Never, never, never. Nor have I said no to anyone either, where I've said, I don't have time for you. If someone wants time, gladly reach out and help them. So, I just encourage you, whatever's keeping you, either you're embarrassed, you don't know how, or you don't think you need it. Believe me, we all do. We all do, regardless of where we are in our career or in our path or in age or life stage. We can always benefit from the help of other people, both men and women. You both mentioned Jeremy, and it doesn't have to be other women, although sometimes that perspective can be unique. But just reach out to people who've gone that path already. I think it'd be helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Brandon Towle is on listening, and he says, "Thanks for being a key mentor in my life, Maria." So that's nice.
Oh,
Very
thank you,
good to hear.
Brandon. Yeah.
You bring in, I think, Maria, it's interesting when I think about who has been a significant mentor, who has sponsored me, who has apprenticed me. It's almost always men. And I think I mean, we're still dealing with the glass ceiling in a lot of ways. You know, Kamala Harris gaining the vice presidential seat has, for a lot of people, created opportunity in terms of like visible, okay, there is a woman who's the first, but we're still having firsts in a lot of fields. And so I think, you know, we need to see ourselves as mentors, but it's okay, right? Like, we're going to have mentors of the opposite gender, and we're also going to be mentors of the opposite gender. And I don't think that we have to only be thinking, I'm a mentor for other women who are watching me. I know for a fact that there are several, you know, career men at this point who would consider me a mentor, which to me still, like, out loud sounds silly, right? When I say it out loud. But as I think about it, and as I've heard them say, I have had a significant impact. And so I think to step into that and go, yes, my life is here for a purpose. And so I'm going to spend it intentionally helping others, whomever they may be. It's not just for women or just for men.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely.
So here at Giant, we have a tool all about this, right? And so let's see, Maria, would you do the honors of just kind of laying out this tool and what it means?
Absolutely. And this tool is how to develop others. So this is a way to very effectively learn, but also teach. You will notice on the outside of the square, this is where the student is, and on the inside of the square is where the teacher or the mentor is. So we start out with a state of unconscious incompetence. You don't even know what you don't know. And then you move down to a state of conscious incompetence. Now you know what you don't know. And it can be very overwhelming when you realize, oh my gosh, this is what this job entails. This is what this task entails. I didn't realize. Eventually, when you turn that corner, you reach a state of conscious competence. Now you've figured out how to do this. You've asked your questions. You know how to get it done. Maybe you still have to go back, refer to your notes or checklist, whatever you did. But now you can do this job. And eventually you turn that next corner and you reach a state of unconscious competence. You don't even have to think about it. You know how to get things done. But you'll notice on the inside, the mentor, the teacher, the person who is sharing this, they start off with, I do, and you watch. Just watch me do this. Eventually we move to I do, you help. And then the third stage is now you're going to do it and I am going to help. And eventually you're going to do it and I watch. And so it gives us stages for both the apprentice and the teacher. And you'll notice there's a little clock there in the middle. This is a time-consuming process. It takes effort to go through this. And so a lot of times we want to short circuit this process. We want to just go from step 1 to step 2. And you got it, you're good to go. And we don't really go through that second stage of, I'm going to do it, you're going to help me, because you just realized what it takes to do this job. And that we can't short circuit that process. If we go through fast through there, people end up in what we call the pit of despair. There's that little black circle there. And you can see this person is in a pit. He's looking up and wondering, how do I get out of here? There's a ladder there. You, as the leader, as the teacher, are the ladder. You are the way people get out of the pit of despair. Now, the pit of despair is not a requirement. You can actually bypass the pit of despair if you're very intentional about going through these steps. But people often fall into that pit and they're overwhelmed. They think, I don't know how I got myself into this situation. They showed such promise, and all of a sudden, they're not as sharp. They're not that bright star anymore. They're in the pit. They're in the pit of despair. And how do you get someone out of the pit? the same way you keep them from getting into the pit. Time, vision, and encouragement. Give them time, spend time with them, encourage them when they do struggle, when they run into some issues. And then vision, how do you see them in the future? Where do you see them moving forward? So these three things can keep someone from going into the pit or can rescue someone out of the pit. When someone stays in the pit too long, it is, they start getting very cynical. They start becoming very negative inside the organization. And if they stay there long enough, guess what? They're going to find someone else in that pit. And then all of a sudden it's a pity party is what it is. It's everyone stuck down there. And if no one gets them out, they set up shop down there. They bring a cot and a mini cooler, and then they live in the pit. And then they bring this toxicity, this cynicism inside the organization. And you can get rid of that person, but better yet, get them out of the pit. Bring them back to a place, because if you invited them into this relationship, you saw something. So if they've turned south on you, it's not because you've made a wrong choice. It's probably because they've made some mistakes. They feel like they're failing. They need time, vision, and encouragement from you. This process works over and over again. It takes time, but if you go through each of these 4 stages, you will see people blossom and grow. But you have to be willing to invite them, be intentional about it, and be patient. And you will see people replicate. You can become the person who is churning out leaders and this churning out people with leadership capacity inside the organization, which is a valuable skill that every employer would love for all of their managers and leaders to have. You can also use this if you are teaching your child how to change a tire, right? I had one client who said, this is perfect. I'm going to rotate the tires. I'm going to do it first, then he's going to help me, then I'm going to help him, and then eventually he's going to do it himself, right? He was going to rotate the tires on the car. Whether it's personal or teaching someone something very complicated in the workplace, same principles apply. Jessica, where have you used or seen this used?
I feel like I talk about this tool all the time and my mind's going like 4 or 5 directions. I think the first thing I was thinking about when you shared about the pit was sometimes that specific encouragement is helping people scale how much they have to learn, right? So as a creative pioneer, I think if I can't do it perfectly the first time, well, then I shouldn't be doing it at all. Right. I mean, that's just the way I view things is I should try this once and I should be able to do it. And that's that. And so I can remember the first year I was a vice president, there was a mentor of mine and I was really frustrated with myself about something. And I was kind of telling him all about it. And he said, I said, well, maybe I shouldn't have been a vice president. Maybe I was just a better director, just what came out of my mouth, right? And it wasn't perfect at it the first time. And he said, Jessica, the feedback I'm giving you is fine grade sandpaper. I'm not taking a chisel to your leadership. I'm giving you fine grade sand. And so just the ability to understand where you are in the process and, hey, you've almost got it, right? You're right here. It's just one more swing around this curve. But had I been left to my own down there in the pit of despair, right, I would have been like, well, yep. I mean, I took one swing at this and I couldn't make it. And so therefore I shouldn't be, right? And that's where we go, right? We have that dominating, or I do specifically have that dominating tendency. And so I think about this tool as being a tool for liberation to even help people understand what is this process going to look like. And we are going to walk together through this process. And I'm going to be with you all the way until you're doing it yourself. And that does take more time than we wish it did, but it also produces more than we ever could by people just figuring it out by themselves.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, right? Yes, it takes time to show someone how to do what you're very good at doing, but eventually you get to the point where you've doubled your capacity by teaching someone to be able to do that. I think you're right, Jessica. Some great comments that we were hearing from one of them was from Carrie. It allows healthy conversations and okay to make mistakes as long as we learn and keep growing. I don't know where we picked up along the way that we have to be perfect, but we do. We sometimes think that, oh, this is the thing that marks me, the one mistake I made. That is a lie that you need to silence in your head, right? And instead share those concerns with someone so that they can give you the true perspective. We talked about that last time, right? Sometimes we just need someone to reframe things for us. And if you had not said something, Jessica, you'd still be questioning. They made a mistake. They never should have promoted. I never should have accepted this. I was so much better off where I was. And those are the thoughts that lead us into the pit. So when you begin to have those, that's when you need to pause and say, hang on, someone saw something in me. I've got to go talk to that person. I've got to go share these concerns and get them out. Once you get them out into the open, they shrink. They don't seem as powerful and overwhelming as they did inside your head, but you've got to get them out. You've got to get them out.
I think one of the reasons that we maybe jump into that pit is we want to hide from the pain, right? So I think about on the apprenticeship square, Tracy, if you want to put that back up there, on the top part where there's unconscious incompetence, there's no pain there, right? We're riding in the car with our parents and driving looks so easy until we get in the driver's seat. And that's what happens in that conscious incompetence. All of a sudden, steering and braking isn't quite as easy as mom and dad made it look. So that conscious incompetence brings about pain, and we have it until we move all the way back into unconscious competence, right? So we kind of want to figure out how to short circuit that, but we never will short circuit the process. This is the process of developing. We have to go from that sense of, ouch, this hurts that I don't yet know this, but I think yet, right? I think that the other two sides of the square are the yet. We have so much it's a clearer vision, right? That this apprenticeship square is a clear vision that you're going somewhere, and incompetency is just a part of the process.
I think that's really good. And I think whether you are apprenticing someone or you are being apprenticed, I think the practical way to use this is to figure out, where am I right now? Where am I right now? Share that with whoever's apprenticing you and share the experience. Break that experience down into 4 separate columns, if you will, and either take someone through that and say, here's where I see you are. I've had clients use this tool, literally 4 different columns, and then list tasks. Say, right now I see you in stage 1, and you've already moved to stage 3. I had one client say, at the end of the 6 months, I want these 5 tasks to be at least to stage 3, in that conscious competence. And it gave the apprentice, if you will, a target. It's like, oh my goodness, now I know how to use this tool. I know to ask questions, and I can avoid this pit. And if that's where you want me to get in 6 months, then I know what I need to learn. I know what I need to do, and I can master this. So use this tool, not just theoretically, but in a very practical way to gauge, where am I, or where are your apprentices currently, so that you can help them navigate that lower right-hand corner in a healthy way, so that you don't lose people to the pit.
That's so good. Just got a really good comment from Heather she's on Giant Watching. She says, I love this. I just had a light bulb moment. I have a manager who does this so well. He pulled me out of my pit of despair by working this process. This is so powerful if you are managing your kids, if you're managing a baseball team, or you're managing a team at work. This process works in that it helps you as the leader liberate your people. It gives a step-by-step approach. And when you're part of that, it makes you feel so valued, because like you said, if someone's expecting something of you, but you don't know when you're supposed to master it or at what point you're supposed to get there, you just feel discouraged. And you come to a job thinking, oh goodness, they hired me, but they shouldn't have. I'm not competent. Well, that's not fair. So what this tool does is give the right responsibility to the right people, so that someone's not just thinking it's all them, right? So exactly. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, girls, ladies, we're running out of time, which it always goes so fast. But I hope for those of you who are watching, this gives you some encouragement. And I know we maybe have a little challenge here. Last week we had a challenge. Maria, what's our challenge? Sorry, Jessica, what's our challenge for this week?
Actually, I was going to do the
Yeah,
challenge.
Sorry.
I'll do the challenge this time. I want you to identify someone that you need to share yourself with.
Ah.
Okay. Or actually, are we going to do
No,
these?
that's okay. Sorry. I'll do
Okay.
whichever one you want to do.
Okay. I want everyone to identify someone you need to share yourself with. You have valuable skills, knowledge, and expertise. Even if it's just one thing at work, I don't care if it's the family recipe that you're going to teach a family member how to prepare come Thanksgiving, but you're going to share yourself with someone. You have valuable skills that need to be transferred, that need to be shared, that need to be multiplied. So I want you to identify one person and work on that, or at least, work on identifying. Actually carrying that out is something that you can do over the next few weeks, but think about something that you do really well that you need to teach someone else.
That's so good. I wish Amy was here because I know what she would be saying right now as a nurturer. She would say, some of us don't feel worthy. We think that's almost prideful to identify someone who needs me. So I would encourage those of you who are more on the feeler side that you do, like Maria said, you do have something to share with someone else. So identify that person, and then we'll take it a next step after that with actually sharing. So that's really good. That's a great challenge, Maria. Thank you. Jessica, any last words that you have on your mind?
No, I just wish we had more time. There's a whole second side of this conversation, which is exactly where you went, Tracy. So I think just the encouragement we all have something to share. We all have something to give. And so, I think identifying someone and thinking even as small as I'm going to, pass on my knowledge of how to build spreadsheet, tables out of a spreadsheet to my, to my junior member on my team. And I'm going to empower them, because apprenticeship is empowerment. Mentoring is empowering others. So
that's so true. So true. Yeah. Well, thank you both. I want to share with what we're going to talk about next week, because we want to really stay relevant. These are relevant conversations to women. And so what we want to discuss next week is, how is COVID impacting women? So how is COVID impacting you, whether you're one of these moms who now has to help, school your children and you're not used to that, or whether you are now having to learn Zoom and how to figure out how to manage a team remotely. These are huge issues that are impacting all of us. So we want to hear from you next week. So come back, invite some friends, and we'll talk about that next week. All right. Well, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Maria. Thanks to all of you. And we will see you next time.